Hello and welcome to intro number 6, reading yourself and others. So this is part 2 of the face reading. I'm going to show you guys some before and after, and we're going to dive deeper. We do have some inner child work today. We have some interesting things, but we're going to start with Lauren's question. And the question was about flat feet. What do flat feet mean? And for this, I am using a book with an ant in it. I am using a book, Messages from the Body by Narayan Singh. It overlaps with Herman's work as much as it can, but it's so much more in detail. And honestly, I don't know if this is super correct, but it's like the thoughts that he puts together then when he reads the body, it gives you a lot of thought, food for thought, like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So here we have flat feet right here. Ungrounded hockey puck. They're lacking in finesse of manifestation. So like sliding and slipping and sliding, going in one direction, going too far kind of thing, that kind of thing. Poor boundaries, little separation between their inner life and their outer environment, spills over onto the ecology of behavioral output. He writes very strangely, like Herman. They have a lot in common. They therefore end up as something of a slipping and sliding activity addict who is always on the go, never stopping long enough to sink roots or take connections and responsibilities. They're quite prone to be systematically commitment avoidant, and they're apt to skim over the surface of things in order to avoid vulnerability. They learn early on to become a moving target and to never get ensnared or engulfed. They are hopelessly hooked on their insignificant parent, significant, not insignificant. I wanted to say insignificant because of what we're teaching in the lecture today. But this says significant, who subtly kept them on the line by artfully playing the now you see it, now you don't promise of validation of worth game with the individual. So the parent was playing games with validation, like you're good, you're not good, that kind of thing. And so that causes like shiftiness, I guess, like not wanting to stick long enough to get hurt, that kind of thing. That's what I'm hearing from this. What are you guys hearing from this? Any other questions about the flat feet?
Yeah, what exactly is flat feet? Do you know how, I mean, how flat do your feet need to be flat?
When the arch thing touches the bottom
Of the ground completely.
Yeah, because if you have an arch, because when you have an arch, you're actually more grounded, and when your foot is fully flat, you're more prone to slipping, according to this guy. I don't know where he got his ideas from, but this book was widely used by Carol and Herman and other people, and it's a guy from Vancouver. This book is super hard to get, and his name is Narayan Singh.
Sing with
Messages from the Body.
Like singing, or
Singh. Narayans But it's got some really interesting responses. Maybe we'll do some lab. Well, at the end of, so did you guys get the email? Did you read the email with the upcoming labs for psychosomatic therapy throughout March 2019?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks lovely.
Any questions? So like the last week of January, the last Thursday of January, what we can do is we can look at some faces and stuff, because I know some people wanted to definitely bring some faces to read, but we can also look at this book and we can look up certain issues, and it's got all sorts of things in it. So we can have some interesting stuff. I don't know if it's like, sometimes like it has different explanations, like he'll put 3 or 4 different explanations and I find one works with me. So I don't know how he comes up with them, but it's a very interesting book. It gives you a lot of food for thought. And I wanted to tell you guys the story of what happened to me this week. And this is a completely psychosomatic therapy story. So, my boss, I don't know what happened, but he didn't like he said, "Hey, can I pay your invoice on the 31st?" And I said, "Yeah, here's my invoice." And then I didn't hear from him after that. And the first and the second and the third came. And on the second, we had the huge earthquake. That was crazy. But then it continued, and then I didn't hear back from him until Monday, late in the evening on Monday. So it's almost 6 days. I wasn't getting paid. I didn't know from him. He's in a country where there's some interesting political stuff. So could have something happened to him. So on one hand, I was a little bit worried about him. And on the other hand, I was a little bit annoyed that this guy is, playing games. Like I did my work, I finished my work, I did all December and all of this stuff. And then he's not giving me money. And so I went and had a nap because I was frustrated and annoyed. I went and had a nap. And while I was having a nap, I got bit twice in the face, and this was not mosquito. I got bit here and then here. It's not scorpion or anything. It was like some kind of a fly or something. And my eye swelled up so much that I could see the swelling with this eyeball. Like I could see its own swelling. Like it was in my vision kind of thing. And I was like, no way, I'm going to be all swollen up for Thursday. They're going to look at me and I'm going to be like this. But it went away. You know when it went away? So it was super, super swollen. Monday night, Monday afternoon, Monday night, my eye was super swollen. Tuesday, I woke up. I could very well see the swelling. And then money came. He paid me. He's like, "Oh, sorry, I here's your money." And then the minute the money arrived, the swelling started going down. So, hang on, I have to make this guy muted for a second. So that he doesn't interrupt us. And so that's exactly how your body. So what happened? So what was it? It was on the left-hand side. It was a lot of swelling. So there was emotion involved. What emotions? Well, I can tell you what emotions. I felt like I was depending on somebody else. I felt like I was giving my power to somebody else. I felt like, I'm so tired of working for other people and having to rely on one person to give me money, because like if something happens to that one person, that's it. I'm in trouble because I didn't get my money. And especially because I only get paid once a month, like that kind of adds up. And so it really had me thinking about becoming self-employed. Like I know I'm self-employed and I know I work for a boss as a self-employed person, but I was thinking more self-employed, like maybe bringing these courses to a higher level, maybe offering more courses, maybe starting like, marketing better. Like I'm marketing for these other people. Why am I not marketing for myself? Why am I not putting all the effort I'm putting to other people in my own business? I could probably replace that earnings and more. And so all of these thoughts and emotions ended up in a really swollen and itchy eyeball. So what's an eyeball? That's heart chakra, right? So swollen, itchy, heart chakra eyeball, and super itchy. Like I kept touching it because I can't scratch this delicate skin under the eye, but it was just so itchy. I couldn't stop touching it. And so all of my feelings and all of my emotions about the situation came out in my body and were shown in my body. And it was obvious. That's what it was. What do you guys think about that? Nice story. Good story.
Was there a particular eyeball? Was it your right or your left?
It was my left emotional eyeball.
So your feminine side.
Why? Because there was nothing wrong, because I pretty much knew, like I was fairly sure that I would get the money when the boss came back online. For whatever reason, he wasn't online. I didn't even ever find out why he wasn't online. But I would get the money. It was just like, why do I have to wait? Why do I have to think about like moving savings around? Why do I have to worry about it? Why do I have to worry about a penalty for my rent if I don't move savings around? Like, that's not right. I shouldn't have to be put in that position when I worked. Like it was all this righteous resentment,
Mm.
And I was never really in any kind of trouble. Like I wasn't hungry or thirsty or out of water or anything. It was just like, how dare he? Very indignant.
Yeah. And is it that because it is in the eyes that it shows up faster because it's very sensitive organic material there, so it can show up very soon?
Well, so because it bit me right in the eyeball, that's why it was swollen. If it was on my arm, the skin is much more resilient. It probably wouldn't have swollen up so much, right? But
Yeah.
I think it's because the heart chakra, right? Like, so my issue was heart chakra based. So it bit me in the heart chakra, and the nose thing, that's solar plexus. So that's talking about those emotions of the ego where I'm like, how dare he? Who does he think he is? Just ignoring me for a week after it's time to be paid. You know, I did my best and he can't even, you know, these kind of thoughts. And so the ego was definitely involved. Sorry, go ahead.
And it also was the left side, so it was the feminine side.
Yeah, the receiving side, because I wasn't receiving my due. The feminine side, the feeling side. Well, it's a Slavic thing, Natalia. Self-righteous resentment. No, I mean it's the same. Like we're going to talk about it in the lecture today. But it's all the same stuff, right? So it doesn't matter if the feeling is towards yourself or somebody else. We can always respond with radical empathy, like, oh, poor guy, he's got so much money, he doesn't remember that he has to pay people. No, I'm still being sarcastic. But yeah, like there are ways of dealing with it. And the main thing is not to freak out about it, not to allow yourself to lower the vibration, right? I obviously was upset about it. I mean, I wasn't upset about it the first couple days, but when it was 5 days, I started getting annoyed because that's when the landlord can do a rent penalty on me. He didn't. I ended up paying on the 6th, and there was no talk about that. But they could have legally.
Yeah, I think there's a lot around money where people are disrespectful. I mean, I'm not sure, maybe he had, you know, had a few days grace to pay you, you know, but if he was late with it, then
I
I
mean,
can't see why.
he always pays me on time, and
Okay, maybe something
yeah.
happened. Okay, well then maybe you.
It's not like, I know it's a self-employed situation, but it's not like I'm the content director for him, so he's usually really good at paying right on time, and that's what I'm used to, and that's why it was an issue. Like, I mean, I could have transferred the money, I could have withdrawn the money, but I would have had to pay penalties for that too. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like I was starving, but it was like, no matter what I did. And so I did nothing, and then it worked out. So this is an interesting lesson, and maybe this is the lesson of the year, because I did nothing. I chose not to do anything. I chose not to lose money by taking it out of my savings or by transferring, something around. I chose to wait, and I chose to trust. And even though it was day late from the penalty thing, I never ended up paying, and everything was good. Right. And the same with this power thing that happened yesterday. It was an opportunity for me to freak out. And I freaked out a little bit when I realized that it wasn't something that was going to get fixed yesterday. Like, it wasn't an outage. It was just my house. It wasn't like anything that is easily fixable. So, and then I would have to wait for someone. And so I was a little freaked out that I was going to cancel this class. And I was thinking, what am I going to do? Am I going to move Carol or no? Because I already booked Carol, so I'll probably keep Carol on the 15th. You guys saw that Carol is coming on the 15th to talk to us. Isn't that fun?
Yes.
She's going to be our special guest. And, but then I went. In Polish, we would say I went to my head for brains. Like I checked in with my reasoning, and I figured, I could ask the neighbor. I have a lot of extension cords. I picked up all the extension cords from around the house, and talked to the neighbor. She plugged me in, and then she went above and beyond for me to have this lovely internet that seems to be working quite fine. So, you know, I mean, trusting in the divine and allowing, like, I think both of those events were opportunities for me to lose my shit, right? Opportunities for me to not know what, like, oh no, and then maybe if I did lower my, this is what we're going to talk about today. Let's start the lecture. More questions, Natalia? We're in a cafe, so you can't unmute. Is that what it is? Too many people around? Right. Trusting the divine timing. Exactly. That's the goal of everything. That's the goal. Okay, where am I now?
Workbook for today? A copy of the workbook?
There is, but I just realized I never updated the page numbers, so now I'm going to have to make another one. Hang on. Save as PDF. Yes. Yay, updated. So it was just a table of contents I forgot to update yesterday, and I had like the same page for every chapter. All right. This is such a fun manual. You guys will love it. I had so much fun making it. And I totally see how we could, or how I could make it into a book when I combine all the manuals. An interesting book at that. There's your manual. Yay! All right. Silliness aside. And I wanted to show you guys those videos, but I think I'll only show you the song. And the other one you can watch on your own, because I put in other stuff in the manual and then I kind of changed my mind about what I'm going to show. So, but you still get the video, so that's good, right? It's benefit. My tea is really good. I found a new tea that I really like. All right. So we've talked in the last face reading session. Does anybody remember the last face reading session we had in November? I mean, some of you were in classes, so you remember those face reading classes as well. But we were talking about how every time you have an emotion or a reaction to something, there's a micro expression that happens in your face, you know, some kind of a contortion, and when that happens, you know, 10, 100, 1,000 times, then it leaves a wrinkle. And then that wrinkle is the telltale sign of what's been going on in your head. And in face reading, when we do face reading classes, we have a whole map of all the different wrinkles and what do these kind of wrinkles mean versus these kind of wrinkles, you know, wrinkles on the forehead, wrinkles on the cheeks, there's different meanings. So absolutely, you will study that much deeper in the classes. But today, and by the way, what do you guys think of the manuals? I have a lot of fun finding photos for the manuals in the system, photo or whatever bank. So the second thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. Sorry, what were you saying, Philip?
That they really got a lot more beautiful than the first time I saw them. You really decorated them and structured them.
I had no idea what I was doing. The first time I was teaching face readings, I mean, I knew how to make a manual, but I wasn't sure what I was doing where it came to the face reading part or the putting my own thoughts into it. Like at the beginning, oh, is my internet going funny? No? Oh, good. At the beginning, when I was first teaching, I didn't really know how much of Herman's stuff to blend with my stuff and how to really put it all together. But this time it seems to be coming out much more naturally, like the natural blend of all the things that I know in order to present to you guys. So effective self-talk. So that's another thing that we've talked about a lot in the sovereign body language classes so far. And, you know, if you're watching the replay and you haven't seen the previous sessions, definitely take a look. But effective self-talk, what is effective self-talk? Can anybody in this class answer me what effective self-talk is? What makes it effective?
Believable?
Believable or believed?
Yes, either one. If you're talking to yourself and you're believing it, and it's positive, right?
Right. So if every single thing you say to you, well, it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, right? If everything you say makes a facial expression or a micro expression, right? So if it's good, it's going to make like a smooth micro expression or, you know, an openness. And if it's bad, it's going to create tightness or contraction, right, of some sort. So even in your feelings, like even if you're speaking to yourself, you can feel which has which effect on you. And you know, if you really look at the word effective, the dictionary definition of effective is having an effect on something. It could have a positive or negative effect on it. It doesn't necessarily have to be a positive effect. It's actually 100% up to you whether your self-talk has positive or negative effect on you. And that depends on how you speak to yourself, right? So I included some examples in case people are still confused of what good self-talk is. And oh, I have to show you guys this picture because this is so cute. Look at this inner child picture. Isn't that, you can't tell if it's a boy or a girl, but that's what I would imagine the relationship between you and or me and my inner parents and you and your inner parents to be. You know, and the inner child is so symbolic, right? Because it's not only like, oh, I'm an inner child when I was a child, how I reacted. That's not at all what it is. The inner child is the magic. Look, I'm losing my voice. The demon network doesn't want me to tell you this. Hang on. Let me combat this with tea. The inner child is the seat of your manifestation. The inner child is, no, seriously. The inner child is where all of your power sits. And it's so counterintuitive because so many years we've been taught that the power sits in the brain and the logical mind and the thinking mind and all that stuff. But in reality, even emeralds like Philip Backer do not make their decisions based on thoughts. Like they might run the analysis and the prices and stuff, but if all things are equal, they'll still in the end make the decision with the heart, right? So everybody makes a decision, makes all the buying decisions with their heart. There is maybe some people are impulsive and they just run with what their heart is saying, and some people are emeraldy and they could hold back and wait for a minute. But in the end, that heart response is what makes the buying decisions or business decisions. So if you visualize it with these kind of pictures, or even your own pictures when you were a child, and so the problem there is the inner parents or external parents, your actual physical parents. Well, what do we do with those people? Sometimes their parenting is not ideal for us. Well, so here you need to remember that they're also 4-year-olds. That they're not parents. The only parents you actually have is inside your inner parents. Those are the only 2 adults. Everybody else running around the world, they're also little 4-year-olds. So if people are upsetting you or annoying you or even backstabbing you, they're just a bunch of kids in a kindergarten that are unruly and they don't have anybody upstairs inside to monitor their behavior, to make sure that they're acting in responsible ways, to make sure that they are who they say they are and they stand up how they stand up. You know what I mean? Like, so, and it's not something, it's not like a switch. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to work with my inner parents from today on, and then they're always going to be there. It's not a switch because it's a practice. It's like a habit forming thing, because you first have to eradicate all the pre-recorded messages that you have from your from your outer parents that you've internalized. right? So when your actual physical parents were telling you, don't do this, if you were to be a good boy, you would do this, and a good girl would never, and you should never, and da 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 da, all these things your parents said to you, those things are pre-recorded in your brain. And so now you have this recording running through your head, and that's parenting you as an adult. So in order to replace the recording, you can't just like switch it off, because it's not a physical recording. You can't just pick up the tape and throw it in the garbage. I mean, maybe you can, maybe with the use of psilocybin, like magic mushrooms, you may be able to take that thing and throw it out. But without anything else, you can still just practice, right? So how do you quit smoking, or how do you start eating healthy, or how do you start an exercise regime? It's the same way. Just every single day, ask yourself a question: what's important to me? How do I like it? What do I like? And going on and going on. And the kindergarten, if you were so just believing in your inner parents and just switching the power from outer parents to inner parents, that's one thing. And that will help, and it will help balance your face out. And I'm leaving the face before and after thing towards the end of this lecture, because I really want to show you guys what leads up to it. How step by step, how that it appears on your face, right? So these people, when they go to psychosomatic therapy, they're re-internalizing their own power. They're bringing it back instead of following all these pre-recorded messages, other people's priorities, like you should be a lawyer, you should be a doctor, you should do your homework, math's the most important, all of these things. Now you can really check in with yourself and say, oh, this is the most important. So that's why I'm saying that having the inner parents is not enough. What you have to do is create an inner kindergarten, because the inner kindergarten will bring your routine, because that's what kindergartens do. They bring a routine. And then in the morning, you can ask yourself, how am I feeding myself? Just like as if you had an external child, is he going to do his homework? Is she going to play? Is she going to eat healthy? What can I feed her today to make sure she stays healthy? How do we make sure we have enough vitamins and minerals in her diet, in his diet? And really taking that caretaker role a lot more to heart, as opposed to just kind of like, okay, now I have internal parents, so now everything is done. It's not done. The work is just only beginning. It's not done at all. So do read the manual. I got some really nice sentences in the manual I really like this. When you begin to practice inner parenting, inner self-parenting, you're not trying to replicate you're not trying to replicate the parenting you received as a child. You're not even trying to fix it. See how good is that? You're doing something much more radical. You're taking the scepter away from the recordings of your childhood and handing it to your inner mother and father. Right? So just even that ceremony, imagining that ceremony where we're taking the power away from here and putting it in here. And why would you want other 4-year-olds to raise you anyway? Your external mother and father, they're just children, and they're doing the best they can. And, things are also confusing for them. And especially if they're not the kind of people who did a lot of inner work, they might have a lot of trouble with it. So they know everything about you. The inner parents, they have your values, your morals, your proclivities, your habits. They can help you form new habits. But they if you like coffee, they also like coffee, things like that. So, and as you learn and grow and become stronger and learn more things about what's better for you specifically, not for Joe or Steve or Harry, those people outside of you, but what's better for you, how you want to raise yourself. You can create the kindergarten, and you can make whatever you want in that kindergarten. You can have whatever rules you want. You can have no nap rules, or you can have a nap half a day rule. You can have whatever rules you want in order to make sure that your kindergarten is proper or customized to your needs. And there's no judgment. And that's why we mentioned radical empathy a few times throughout this course. That's why there's no judgment, because if you want to do this, or if you want to do that, there's no judgment, as long as it's, it's working out for you. Maybe being a starving person under a bridge is not working out for you, But there are other ways to support yourself in freedom and in choice and in a ability to live however you want to live your life. And that brings us to the demon network. Who here remembers me talking about the demon network? Natalia. All right. So what is the demon network? What do you remember? Because there's like 5 different demon networks that are surrounding us at every moment.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but because it was a long time ago, but I remember you were saying that basically there's some kind of network that is trying to prevent us to come into our life, into our power. That's kind of like the gist of what I remember.
So I'm skipping the chapter on inner healing, but it's very much the same of what I already said. So there's the default mode network, right? And so that's a concept created by a psychologist. And I have a lot more details in this manual than I ever did before. So the default mode network is Marcus Reichel. And he discovered that the brain doesn't just turn off when you're thinking about nothing, it starts going into the inner critic, right? So Marcus had this idea that the darkness comes from within the human, right? So it's when the human is not being creative, when the human is not interacting, when the human is not shining their light in one way or another, they are victim to this internal negative self-talk, right? And he explains it. So the way he explains it is that when you're being idle, the brain doesn't just turn off, it activates a specific network of regions that become highly synchronized during rest. So if you're resting too much, right? And see, I have some issues with that because I don't know if resting is the actual thing that is the issue. I think idleness, because rest and idleness are not the same thing, right? But I mean, I put it the way he phrased it in these few sentences. And then I explained a little bit about and so the DMN, so maybe I'll show you guys how it looks here. So DMN, default mode network, right? Oh, I don't know why I have an accent on the E there. Oh, maybe I don't have an accent on the E. Okay, so that's the default that a person falls into, right? And then there's some new research that was saying, oh no, it could be positive. You could go default into meditation and stuff. But it just, no matter how much I read about it, that didn't seem to jive for me because this default always brings you back to the inner critic, right? And so, it shapes how you see the world. So if you allow the default mode network, sorry about that. I kicked the table. So if you allow the default mode network to take over your life, to keep you in your thoughts, to tell you that everything is going to shit in a handbasket and whatever, to hell in a handbasket, then what happens is that's exactly how it feels, right? So the emotional. So basically, what you're doing is you're programming the inner child. It's almost like your thoughts, your feelings are a projector. Oh, I guess I'm going to show you. Almost like your thoughts and your feelings are projecting for the inner child what kind of life it's living, what kind of room it's in, right? So when you're in these lower frequencies, that child's room becomes really dark and scary and uncomfortable, and there's no furniture. But if you're in higher frequencies, the lighter frequencies, that room becomes, well furnished with nice blankets and flowers and things like that, that makes it pleasant. So if any kind of thought pattern, any pattern at all that you engage, physical or thought, will affect the lodging or the palace that your inner child lives in. And by the way, just a reminder, inner child chakra is right here. It's halfway between the throat and the heart chakra. And this is your inner child. And to soothe your inner child, you can tap it like that and allow your inner child to feel you know, like as if you were tapping the back of a baby's back kind of thing. So yes, the default mode network can really catch you and ensnare you. And then if you stay in the default mode network too long, if it ensnares you too much, you can fall into an amygdala hijack. Who here remembers what an amygdala hijack is? Okay, so
It's just,
amygdala,
just
sorry.
fight or flight mode, right? You're
Right. So basically our brain,
scared,
oops, I stepped on my dog.
traumatized, or
So basically our brain is got a few different sections. It's got the mammalian, the frontal lobe, the mammalian brain, the reptilian brain, right? It's got this different sections. And when you're in fight or flight, the power, the thinking power pulls into the reptilian section of your brain. And that means you're quicker at responding. You can perceive danger easier. You can recognize dangerous sounds faster. You know, there are a lot of benefits to pulling into the reptilian brain for a physical danger. Like say a tiger is chasing you in the woods. Absolutely. That's how the, you know, evolution, whatever, created us, so that we pull back into that reptilian brain, and it stays with us until the danger has passed. But because in our society we create artificial danger, like, oh no, I'm in danger, I gained 3 pounds. Oh no, I'm in danger, I'm balding. I have to mute Cheryl. So there's all these different ways saying, oh no, I'm in danger for this or that, right? And so it's not physical danger. And so the amygdala doesn't actually help, because it pulls the reasoning out of your reasoning part of your brain and pulls it into the reptilian brain, so you can react faster, but you can't reason. And if your whole reasoning, if your whole danger idea is based on a falsehood, like, oh no, I gained a couple pounds, I'm in danger, I'm a bad person, and I'm never going to be liked, whatever, this kind of hijack that happens, which is part of programming. It's absolutely programmed into us. But then the amygdala hijack is not a good solution for that, because you need reasoning to explain to yourself that it's not a big deal, that you're still fine, everything is okay, and all this stuff. But so apparently, and I didn't write this in this book, but maybe I'll write it in the next book during the classes, because I didn't even think of this. You have 20 seconds. When the amygdala becomes hijacked, you have 20 seconds to stop it. If you don't stop it in 20 seconds, it's really hard, and it takes several hours to get out of it. How do you know if your amygdala has been hijacked? Well, amygdala works on repetition. As a lot of animals, you can see in the animal world, animals work with a lot of repetition. When an animal speaks to you, a dog, a cat, a bird, they will engage in a lot of repetition, like, come on, come here, let's go, we gotta go, let's get out of here. Like, animals don't speak in single terms. You'll never see a dog bark once and then once and then once again, right? It'll be like a few barks of one tone and a few barks in another tone. Same with birds. There is a lot of, like, even if you examine parrots that speak, there's a lot of repetition. And that's why there's a mistaken psychological concept of parroting, which means copying, because people perceived that because birds repeat sounds over and over, that means that they're copying what people are doing. But that's actually not true. What birds are doing is communicating in the way that birds communicate. So their brain, and you'll see that with babies too. Little babies, like 2 or 3 years old, they'll say, mom, come here. Can I have a juice? Please. Right?
So, that's my all day.
That's a natural way of communicating. It's nothing wrong with it. And it doesn't mean that this person is parroting or copying or anything. It just means they're communicating differently. They're communicating on an emotional level. So as that emotion is strong in them, their emotion comes out over and over and over. Like if somebody's upset, they do the same thing. Oh no. You know what I mean? They do that. We do that as humans. We just think we're better than that because we're not taught that it's a different way of communicating. It's a maybe reptilian or amygdala way of communicating, but it'll start repeating. So then your brain is like, oh no, my boyfriend died because he's home late. He's over an hour late. He's probably dead laying on the side of the road. Oh my, he's home late. He's late. He's an hour late. He's probably dead on the side of the road. That's how you know you got an amygdala hijack, because the whole sentence just repeated twice, and then they'll repeat again. And then you know that you have a few seconds to stop it. So then we all try to bring it back to the frontal lobe and say, hey, okay, no, he's probably not dead. He's probably just ran into a friend. It's probably not a big idea. He probably has a reason to be late. Maybe the train, had a problem. Maybe he had to catch the bus instead. Maybe this, maybe that. We create these explanations. And if we can keep our brain in the front part of the brain, it will allow for releasing that amygdala hold. But often what happens, the amygdala will grab you again. Oh no, he probably died. All of this stuff, it'll come back because it's always about life and death. Anytime you're in the amygdala, anytime you're in the reptilian brain, it's always about life and death. It cannot be about anything else, because that's what it is. It's flight or fight or freeze, fear of death or survival. So that's how it works. And so just understanding and being compassionate to yourself, like, oh, why am I so negative? Why am I always thinking about that? You're not thinking about death. You're just stepping into fear, and death comes out because that's what the fight or flight thing is. And so understanding these little things that we do as humans and bringing it together and allowing the goodness, to control it. So say you have an inner mother and inner father, and say your boyfriend is late an hour, right? So the inner mom will say, hey, don't worry about it. Everything is good. It's okay. Even if he's dead, you're okay. Because even if he's dead, you are okay, because you'll just figure out your life differently, right? Like, I know it's a tragic thing to say, but it's true, even acceptance. Like, if you're afraid of something, saying, okay, what if the worst thing happens? Will I still be okay? Can I be okay if the worst thing happens? Yes. Can I be okay if my boss never pays me this month? If he's disappeared forever? Yes, I can figure it out. I can be okay. It's not a problem. But what a pain would it be? But yeah, so understanding the proclivities, right, and not allowing that to take over your life, bringing it together for yourself, so that the amygdala is not ruling your life, but it's being useful. So yes, if you're being chased by a lion or a tiger, go into an amygdala hijack, because it's going to give you a lot of survival abilities that other things don't. But if you're in a mental cognitive, hello wasp, if you're in a mental cognitive thing, then make sure you bring your frontal lobe on board. Now, how can you bring your frontal lobe on board? I don't know if I'm talking too much about this amygdala hijack, but it's important. How do we bring the frontal lobe on board? We can do math. Okay, you cannot do math in the reptilian brain. You cannot talk about the meaning of really complex words and concepts in the reptilian brain. The reptilian brain only knows eat, sex, whatever, basics. The reptilian brain does not understand anything beyond like higher cognitive abilities. So if you pull your brain into higher cognitive abilities, it won't be able to go down into the reptilian hijack or the amygdala hijack. Okay, I feel like I went too far into it. See, this is what happens. I get into it and it's too much. Okay, so what else? The demon network. And again, the all the details are in the manual. So even if I'm skipping a section or something, you guys can always go back in the manual and everything is in there. And for the people looking for the YouTube or the replay, you can always sign up on the website, ownyourbodylanguage.com, and you will have you'll get all the replays of the 6 free sessions plus all the manuals. So you'll have all this information for free.
I was just going to say,
yes,
isn't the news kind of the way that kind of gets you programming? Because I was having a great day yesterday, and I had a great day. I woke up, I had, great, and then I looked on the, I caught a YouTube thing, and here's this thing. Oh, the Americans took the Russian thing, and I swear, like I just had this like narrative of these sons of bitches that, like, why are people so stupid? You know, it just went on and on and on. And I jotted it down because it was like, God, I got to get this out of my head. What is this? And it was, 5 or 6
Programming.
sentences of.
Well, think about when you were born. You were born in the 70s, right? So 60 something, yeah. But like, you don't remember the 60s. You were too little. So you were, that was the full like anti-Russian, anti-American propaganda time, right? The 70s, the 80s, it was right in that. So as soon as you hear American and Russian, you probably have all sorts of programming triggered in your brain.
Yes,
No?
and I was thinking, I don't know, some time ago we had a presentation by Joseph R. I can't remember his last name. Starts with an R, but he had that heart.
Yes, I
It
think I
comes
do
from the
remember.
Heart Math Institute.
Yeah.
Heart centric, heart.
Yeah.
But it was like with the breath work and stuff like that. And one of the things he said, he pointed out was, like, when you allow yourself to go into that mode, your heart rate goes up and it doesn't come down. Like, if you don't like do your breath work and kind of get yourself back to centered, your whole day, your your heartbeat is elevated and you're kind of in this anxiety mode. And of course,
It can take
like
hours.
organs and everything else are basically shut down because you're functioning like you're, in fight or flight.
Yeah, because once you get into amygdala, it's programmed not to let you out for a few hours. Just think about it. If you're a caveman and you're in the woods and there's a bear, you can't just, like, after the bear walks away 5 meters, go, oh, okay, whew, there's no bear. Okay, let's go back to eating hot dogs. You need to be on alert just in case that bear comes back. So it's not going to let you out of it for several hours until it's sure. And like the ego and the amygdala, their whole jobs are just to protect you, right? And we're giving us like, oh, it's so bad, it's giving us this fight or flight, it's a bad thing. No, it's actually a part of your function that's really beneficial because it can help you survive. But you have to think it, like, with the amygdala hijack and all that. If you're fighting it, if you're like, no, that's not how it goes, it's not going to be right, it's just going to dig its heels into it because it's there to save your life, right? Like, there's all sorts of interesting internal talk that sometimes goes on when people are in an amygdala hijack, and just observe that conversation, right? And trying to say no, like getting it head on, it can sometimes lodge it more in. So creating an option for yourself, like, what if this and what if that, and what if we just balance our checkbook, and how much is 5 plus 5, things like that are completely off topic, can pull you out of it faster. I don't know if writing it down would be beneficial. Like, maybe writing it down once might help because you do get it out of yourself and onto paper. But, if you're going to be continuing to write about it, you might just putting yourself in the amygdala hijack just by repeating the stuff. It's still repetition.
Well,
So once
I do, I write, like, whenever an idea in my head is reoccurring, I write it down. Like, I can't get it out of my head, so I write it down, and then I kind of logically deduce, like, what is this thing saying, So I might, like, clarify it by making some other statements about, what it is or what it's about or who it's about or where it came from, that kind of stuff. And then typically, if I get to the point that it's like this thing that, it's like a major thing, then I'll try and turn it into a poem. And then usually, like, at the end, I'll bring it back to something positive. And then as I'm working through that poem and I'm like trying to find the perfect words, I do find a tremendous amount of relief in that.
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. I mean, that's a lovely way of doing it. So I don't know. I have to show you guys. It's almost 1, and I have to show you guys. But I guess this class is an hour and a half. Is there anybody pressed for time here? Anybody has to run? Anybody falling asleep in Europe? No? Okay. It's to you, Jill.
No, I'm still here, but having to come and press the button to answer you is just why I don't bother, because I'm here.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
All good. Okay, so I want to quickly cover egregors. We're going to be diving deeper into egregors when we go into the labs from now. I don't know if everybody read the email, but from next week until May 19th, we're going to have a free face reading or body reading lab every single week, and we're going to be doing different things throughout the next several weeks. We will be addressing the demon network and the egregors a little bit more in those labs because it's definitely something that's really important, and it will come back. But this manual has all the bits that cover that. Well, not all the bits, a lot of the bits. As I'm presenting it to you guys, I'm thinking of more bits that I could put in, but that's always the case with me. So let's wait for level 2, I guess. So the demon network, the DMN, default mode network, is a scientific, philosophical, or psychological way of explaining this negative self-talk, negative feedback loop. But there are other ways of explaining. These are more woo-woo ways, and I included them in the book because I want to make sure that we look at it holistically from every perspective, right? The default mode network, yeah, that's one way of explaining it, and you can absolutely believe in that, maybe. It does have the premise that the negative self-talk stems from within the human, and with that, it doesn't really sit well with me because I think that we're not inherently bad. We're not inherently critical. We're not inherently mean to ourselves. So why is it coming inherently from us? But at the same time, I'm not telling you that I'm fully on board with the all the powers outside of us, and there's an evil black sand that's projecting a radio signal into my brain that every time I get depressed, it's activating, because that's the demon network. That's the other demon network. So there's different philosophies. Everybody around the world has noticed these sentences, these words that come up. You know, I'm never be good enough. They'll never understand me. I will live under a bridge. I'm going to die. My mom's going to kill me. All of these things are the same world over in every language and everything. So there's like a common theme. There were some German people who interviewed people from all over Europe. And even though they spoke all these different languages, they still had the same sentences running through their brain. Is it programming from the society? Maybe. Is it the default mode network? We are negative from within? Maybe. Is it because there are egregors? So what's an egregor, really quickly? An egregor is a thought form that formulates when 2 or more people are engaged in a specific discussion on a specific topic. The more violent or emotional the discussion, the more of an egregor can form from it. If 100 people get together, like HeartMath Institute, we mentioned HeartMath Institute earlier, 100 people come together for a common purpose, it can be very powerful. If we engage the Buddhas, like in the Buddhist philosophy, it can become very powerful. Noelle and I have had some experiences with that with our Buddhist friend, and it's extremely powerful, getting calling in all the powers, right? So with the negative stuff, why wouldn't it work the same? Of course, So an egregor would be something that maybe you had a fight with your boyfriend. It could be sticking to the walls in that room. And the next time you step into that room, you get grumpy again. Or your friends are picking on you, and the more they pick on you, the more they pick on you, and the more they make fun of you, the more they make fun of you, and there's that egregor forming in that group of friends. And sometimes it's better to leave the group of friends than to try to fight it, because once they're being bullies in a group, the egregor will pull them into more bullying itself, right? The whole thought form. So thought forms, by the way, if you're in autonomy, there's going to be a thought form discussion on Saturday, February 17th. Is that correct, Noelle? Or 21st, something like that. So look in the
I thought it
schedule.
was the 28th of February. That's Marshall's.
28. Yes.
Do it live?
Yes, 28th of February. So that's we're going to be.
So there are
diving.
two. It's the 21st is going to be the panel on egregor. Sorry, I had to get on my mute button. That's going to be the group discussion on the 21st, and then Marshall is doing one on his own on like I think Buddhism or pranic healing or something like that, and that will be on the 28th.
Cool. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, so then we'll learn more about egregors there. And so it could be an egregor, but it also could be an entity. What's an entity? Like a dark spirit or a dark soul, or maybe a dead person, maybe a ghost, or maybe a demon from hell, or maybe a fallen angel, maybe something that's pulling you off course, that is invisible, is in your space. And its goal is to pull you into the lower vibrations so that you can be more susceptible to the dark vibrations. That could also be true. Some people say that the Saturn is a radio station. I mentioned that earlier. Saturn is a radio station for evil thoughts, and that every time our vibration lowers to a certain amount, we become susceptible. Like it's almost like we tune into that radio frequency. We can hear it. We can't hear it before, but when our vibration lowers, like when we're cranky or grumpy or upset or depressed, then we can hear. And the more lower the vibration is, the more we can hear the demon radio from Saturn. Is it? I don't know. Is it bouncing off the moon? Who knows? I don't know. What I know is no matter what it is, it's not internal to you, unless you believe in the demon network guy. It's external. And I think I prefer to think of it as external, because I don't really prefer to think that there is something dark and nasty inside me that I cannot combat. I would rather, and you remember, imagination is really important in this, because your imagination creates your manifestation, creates the house for your inner child. And so it's not necessarily what's real in your particular point of view, because if somebody has a different point of view, something different will be real for you. So what's like heaven and hell and heaven and hell and purgatory, they're all here around us. Different people are living in hell. Different people are living in purgatory. Yeah, sorry, I'm looking at the question. Are there proven ways to change self-talk, like Byron Katie, Ho'oponopono, praying, positive self-talk? All of that works. Every single technique works. Every single technique from every single tribe in the world works, unless you really feel internally that particular thing won't work for you, and then it won't work for you. So whatever you're drawn to will work. So you can use anything that works for you. Like I said, I've been trying the mala beads lately. So chanting 108 times, and I find it a very interesting experience. So what it is, it's like a Buddhist. I downloaded an app with Buddhist chants. They're all in Sanskrit, and I have these beads. They're 108. I counted. I got it a long time ago. I never used it until like last month. And basically every time the chant says a certain thing, I repeat it in my head and move one bead along, and 108 times. So I was upset. I was annoyed with my husband at one time, and I was doing the beads, and I was thinking about the argument, and I really wanted to go downstairs and tell him how I felt about it, because he really needed to know. But then I was like, no, I'm going to challenge myself to do the 108 things, right? And so about quarter of the way in, my brain went, well, you know what? You should tell him. You should tell him this and this and this and this. Yes. Noel is commenting that everybody uses the same phrases. So yes, so I should tell him that, but then I can't tell him that because I still have this many beats to go. So I'm just going to sit here and continue repeating the same 5 words in my head. It was the green Tara mantra that I was using. And so then I went like, several more beats, and then I had another idea. Oh, I should tell him that. I should tell him that. And there was like a pull in me. I was like, okay, I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to march downstairs. I'm going to tell him. I'm going to tell him how it is. I was like, no. We still have a bunch of beats to go. We're going to just observe, put it aside, and wait. Like, yeah, you can tell him that, but after we finish. And then, so I went, and every like 10 beats, I had a new idea of what I should tell him right now. And there was like a few times that my feet were almost itching to run downstairs and talk to him and tell him what's right, because he just doesn't understand what I am trying to tell him. And in the end, when I finished the beats, I was super calm. And I went downstairs and I said, this is what I think, and this is how I think. And this is why I think it's wrong. So that's what I think. And I used all of the arguments I wanted to use throughout my little chant, but I didn't say them the way I was thinking them. Like when I first started and I was really angry, I was like, I'm going to tell him this. But then at the end, I just said it like a normal conversation. I said, I think this and I think that. And then in the end, he was like, that's interesting. And like, it wasn't a fight. It was just like a conversation. And he's like, yeah, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. I guess that's how it could be taken. And I understand what you meant. And it was like a normal conversation. It was really crazy because all I did is like, I stopped myself 7 times from running downstairs and continuing to fight. Because I wanted to argue. And because I was right, you see, I was right. I was absolutely right. I knew I was right. I was right the whole time. That's why I wanted to yell at him, because if you're right, you have to yell at somebody because it's the way to do it, right? Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Because in the end, I didn't yell and it worked out really well. So yeah, there's a whole chapter on that. And look at this. I found another picture for the Demon Network. I have to show you guys. It's so good. Look at this.
I'm proud of you, Agnieszka.
Oh, thank you.
Knowing you well.
Well, I have that Eastern European thing where I want to fix things right away, and I have to be very strong, and it's not necessary. It's not necessary. But look at my picture of the Demon Network. Do you like that? So this is not for the Demon Network, the one that the DMN network, because that was a different. I don't even know if I had a picture for it. Oh yeah, this is what I had, the default mode network. I had this picture. But this one is for the dark energies that may or may not be in Saturn or on the moon or in the corners of your house. And if they are in the corners of your house, you can always sage your house and ask all the entities to leave your house. Apparently that works quite well. But yes. So people wanted to see some, who's ready for some before and after pictures, because I can't keep talking. It's 10 after 1 or the top of the hour. Okay, I know you guys really want to see Agnieszka before and after. So this is my face now with the big red dot on my nose from the bite. Everybody see me? Okay, now I'm going to show you what I used to look like. Now, in your manual, actually, if you guys open your manuals on your computer, or if you can't, let me see if I can. Oh, I'll just grab it from here. Because in the manual, I wrote a bunch of questions that we can ask ourselves while looking at the before and after pictures. So now, before and after, this is before and after. It was a year, so the top picture is from 2010, and the second picture is from 2011. And now it's 2026, so it's been like a long time, right? And I'm a lot older now, but I think that my face has just been continuing to balance out. And yeah, as I changed my life, it helped. So what are these questions? Okay, let me ask you guys these questions. Who's ready to unmute? Okay, what's the first thing you notice in the before and after? And even considering the after of the current face.
Well, in the top one, your face seems to have gotten thinner and your eyes have come together.
So just to explain, I don't know if you know, because I know Carol has shown those pictures, but like the top 3 pictures is the same photo, right? It's just the middle photo is the actual photo. And then it's split in half, and the 2 left sides are put together on the right.
Oh, okay.
Or 2 right sides are put together on the right, and 2 left sides. So it's the same photo. What it is, it's taking a look at what my masculine and my feminine are, how they're working together. So the photo is taken as straight as possible, so you can see both, like the face completely straight on, and then it's cut in half using the bone between the eyebrows, because that's the only reliable place, because your nose is very malleable. It could be shifted right or left. Your mouth, everything else moves. The only thing that's really, really hard in the body is this point between your eyebrows. So using the point between your eyebrows, you split the face in half, and then the 2 right halves are the masculine and 2 left halves are the feminine. So in 2010, how I was living, this is how I was responding to the stimuli in my life, where my masculine was the right sided, the wide face, and my feminine was the left face. Do you guys notice any differences between the masculine and feminine in my before picture?
Well, you don't even look like the same person.
Yeah.
Left, but not the middle one. I'm looking at the top picture.
Yeah, just look at the middle. So we're comparing the middle top to the middle
you
bottom.
could be taken for sisters, but you wouldn't be taken for the same person.
And what about right now? I look even more differenter now.
Yeah, I wouldn't even recognize you now to either of those two pictures. Like
right.
the top, even the tooth between the top and the bottom doesn't look like the same person.
Well, I did that.
I immediately recognize it.
No, but I'm really looking, you know, it's if I hadn't met you and I saw a picture of you here, I wouldn't know it was the same person from either of those two pictures.
What else do you notice about the difference between masculine and feminine, Joe?
So the masculine is the right, is it? As I look at the computer.
It's actually labeled.
Oh yeah, it is.
To your left.
It's just very small, right?
Yeah. No, the small one is the left side, the feminine. So the feminine is receiving, feeling, experiencing, and the masculine is doing, giving, you know. And so even like I know that the size, how much of my face you can see on the right versus the left, is probably because of the tilt. Like I'm tilting my head to the left, hiding my left side a little bit in the original pictures. You can't see it until you do the face split, but I am tilted a little bit, just in an almost imperceptible way, but I'm giving less frontal view to the left side of the face than the right side of the face. I'm leading with, sorry, this is my right. I'm leading with the right and I'm hiding the left because I don't want people to know about my feelings. I want to show them my intellect, my action, right? And so in reality, the two right sides together show a very powerful masculine, kind of stubborn, you know, maybe rounded at the chin. So maybe, you know, making jokes to cover up pain kind of thing, but at the same time, very sort of squared almost face, which is not my nature because my nature would be to be more idealistic. And squared would be like keeping you in a cage kind of thing. Not necessarily keeping you in a cage, but being rule oriented and, you know, specific.
But your face looks round to me in that picture.
It looks what?
It looks round to me.
Yeah, the right side is round. Yeah. Yeah, but so rounded is the manipulative person who uses jokes to cover up pain and turns everything into a joke and doesn't allow for real connection because they're like the jolly, jovial kind of person, right? And the left side looks like she's crying. Like the inner man looks like he's a bully to the inner female. Like he's oppressing and telling her what to do. He knows what to do. He's taking up space and he is very set. Even though rounded at the bottom, it's still like the width and the way it is, it's very set in their way. Versus the inner female is very almost triangular chin. So pushover, allowing other people to make decisions, really sad eyes, very smaller mouth and very unsure looking mouth, like she's not sure of herself. So those are the differences from the inner. But then, you know, I took a year to do my practitioner and my master's. And then at the end of the master's, I looked like the dark-haired lady below. So again, the center picture is the center picture. I've balanced out quite a bit. The inner female is still kind of sad. The inner male is still a little bit more powerful, but they've evened out in their power. They're collaborating together. In the second picture, you can really see how the masculine and the feminine are almost equal in power now. Not one is oppressing the other and taking up equal space. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's interesting. I still
that's
think
wild.
it doesn't even look like you today. The three pictures to me look like
Also,
potentially three sisters, you know, including you today. And I
Well, I've
know that's
never
a
had
big
a
while
sister.
ago. I mean, that's 2011, 10, that's 15, 16 years ago. So,
Mhm.
I mean, we do change a lot as we get older.
You were gonna say, Philip?
how much time was there between those
Like a
two pictures
year,
taken?
maybe
Okay,
a
because the
year and
bottom
a
one,
half.
yeah, because the bottom one looks much more mature. Also, I would say, like more
Yeah, but I
responsible.
started working at the institute, and I was working there right away from the first so the first one was at the beginning of practitioner, and the second one was at the beginning of the masters, I believe.
Hmm.
So I got to show you somebody else, though.
I was gonna ask you with the like receiving and giving kind of aspect of it, does the way that they were out of balance, does that mean that you were like giving way more and not getting enough? Would that be a
Yeah,
way to look at it too?
yeah. I mean, at the time, I think that was starting to shift, but I was giving, I was very, and I wasn't doing what I wanted. Like I was trapped in my own, like I was working in a place I didn't want to work and all that stuff. And then all like I was working, no, just before I came, I think I was working I was a curriculum assistant at a polytechnic, but it wasn't something that would like feed my soul or anything, you know? It's still writing.
Right.
Okay, this lady's name is Lisa. She's a friend of mine. So this is her before, and she doesn't fit on the page. Come on, Lisa. Okay, there we go. So what do you guys think of Lisa's before and after? Does she look like the same person?
Big. No, totally different.
No, not at all.
So her eyes look dark in the top
Major
picture because
change.
she's got so much swelling in her eyeballs, like so much emotion held back that it's hiding how blue her eyes are.
Yeah.
So I'll show you guys another picture of Lisa. So this is Lisa in 2019.
Gosh, very different.
Oops, that's the other lady.
Change.
Yeah. I just saw some new pictures. So in the next class, I'll show you guys some new pictures of these ladies. So that's Lisa. And then Donna, where's Donna? Here we have Donna, good luck. So here's Donna in before picture. She was very trapped within herself. She wasn't able to really communicate with herself. And she had similar thing going on with her masculine and her feminine, where her feminine looks shell-shocked and freaked out, and her masculine looks like a big bully. Right. So then after, so we have dates on this one, October to November. So this was only about a month apart. And here we have Donna after a month of like deep work. I mean, this is practitioner training, right? But this is like inner self-talk, a little bit massage, you know, self-massage with the face and stuff. Some release and some real like deep talks with the teachers, you know, how we were when we were in the psychosomatic therapy training, that, you know, Herman would talk to you about any kind of issues that you were having or whatever. And he would always try to bring the inner child out. And it's pretty impressive how much the inner child came out. But
her
where's
eyes
the
are so much softer, and the lines on her mouth have
and this is Donna now. So she's lost a lot of weight. She released a lot of weight, and she is like retraced her inner child, regressed to her inner child, and that's me. Oh, and that's another lady that was. So this is again only a month apart. Because it's the awareness that changes the person. It's not so much like, yeah, you have to do the work to continue the awareness. So if you have an inner bully that's telling you you're not good enough, you're going to have to continue to remind yourself that that's no longer the thing for you. But after just awareness, you can change immensely. Here we have another man. Oops, I tried to zoom in. So here's 3 layers. And so going back to my questions, let's look at this dude for a second. What softened, what opened, what looks more alive?
His eyes are not hard, they're very hard. In the top one, I'd almost say he's possessed. But you know, his eyes are so hard and staring.
It's also possible that the teachers were telling him, open your eyes. Why are your eyes so
Yeah.
small, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
why were his eyes
that's-
like, why was he have like squinty eyes in the before picture, right? That's
Yeah.
another way of hiding the heart or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's see if we have more. Oh, this dude was great. Yeah. Does the face look more symmetrical now?
What all happened to those people?
Well, they just reconnected with their inner child.
Hmm.
And there's me again. Yay. Lisa had some really good pictures recently. Oops.
It's definitely a way better beauty treatment than going to a beautician.
Well, and you know what? They would say that a lot because like beautician will give you Botox that's going to freeze your ability to process energy.
Oh my gosh, I would
right?
hear that stuff.
So
Yeah, no. But really, you know, it's your beauty it's so obvious anyway, but like when you see these pictures and the work, the beauty's coming from within, you know.
absolutely, everybody's, but it's just a matter of like not self-criticizing, because that's the biggest problem is when you criticize yourself, when you're hard on yourself, when you're mean to yourself.
Yeah, that's so true. Oh, these classes are so good. They really are.
I'm trying to find you guys a different photo. Oh, right, she changed her name. I'm looking for Elisa, and her name is not Lisa on Facebook. Because like she's 53 now. She's exactly the same age as I am. So just seeing the growth, it's really cool. Yeah. There you go. So this was her New Year's message. So this is what she looks like now. So she no longer looks anything like this lady. Especially the before one. The other thing that happened to this lady is her kids grew up. So, yeah. And so like she doesn't have kids in the house anymore. Or I think she has one. So what do you think? What do you think, people?
That's pretty amazing, really.
Okay, now I have an exercise for you guys, but I wonder how many of you can turn on your videos for a few minutes so we have people to look at. Because this exercise is supposed to be done when you're sitting face to face with somebody else and you're looking at them and looking them deep in the eyes. So you can pick, Natalia or Philip and look them deep in the eyes, and I'm going to read you something. Okay, everybody ready?
Is this still recording? Yeah.
Yeah, it's still recording.
I'll
Okay,
stay
so
off
take it.
camera.
A what?
I'll stay off camera for recording.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. So look deep into Philip or Natalia's eyes and think about this. Just like me, this person woke up this morning to be here. This person is seeking happiness, wants to be loved, has looked in the mirror and not liked what they see, has laughed so hard they cried, has experienced deep pain, felt trapped in their body, has shared of themselves and given love, wants to know their purpose, has had unkind thoughts about their body, has experienced feelings of unity with the world, has felt separate and alone, has been angry, experienced grief. This person enjoys adventure and excitement, wants to experience peace and bliss, has experienced wonders of being a child, was a brand new born innocent baby once, still hears the voice of the child within. This person is lovable. For as you look into their eyes, know that in them you can see yourself. Dun, dun. And that concludes our recording.